Welcome to Authentic with Brazil 201. I'm your host, Brazil 201. And on today's episode, we're going to talk about Taylor Sheridan's masterpiece of a show that is not a show, but in fact is probably just two movies split in half. And look, I love the Madison. I have no qualms with this. His version of New York and all of it. I enjoyed the show, and I think to understand the show, you have to understand how it was made. So, for people who don't understand, the first season of The Madison was filmed all of 2024, right? Those first 6 episodes. The second season was filmed all of 2025. So we have the 2 seasons in the can, and season 2 will be coming out next year in 2027. Okay, we have 0 idea if we're getting a season 3. I don't know, because if you watch this show, this is not a TV show, and I'm not saying that in an insulting way. This is a movie that is clearly meant to be movie 1 and movie 2, because this is not a television show. This is a phenomenal movie. This is a TV show cosplaying as a movie, because the characters we have and everything we're going through, I'm like, "Wow, this is like Taylor Sheridan's masterpiece." And look, we meet our beautiful white family, right? We have Michelle Pfeiffer, we have Mike Ross, we have Kurt Russell, we have, by the way, the dude who sold drugs in Gossip Girl, who is also a cop, and the other cop, right? So their name, so right, Paul Cade Page is the younger Dipsy daughter, and Abigail is the older daughter who's obsessed with the Montana cop. So, I'm gonna go through the 3 episodes, right? And I just gotta say, so episode 4 begins with, once we keep doing these flashbacks, right? The Kurt Russell flashbacks, and if this is what's also happening in season 2, the ghost of Kurt Russell, and how Michelle Pfeiffer's character has to remember all the parts she didn't really understand about her husband, how her husband really longed to live in Montana and was tired of New York and all of it. And he's like explains that he leaves a ring on his desk so he doesn't ever leave it because he lost the ring in the river and has spent 2 days trying to find it. And so the episode begins with oh, the hot cop, what the fuck? Paul calls Abigail, and they're like, "We have the black box, from the plane." So the entire family goes in, also the lawyer, who is, Michelle Pfeiffer's best friend, is also with them. And we hear the final call, like, but the cop says, "I don't think your daughter should be here for this, but I think you should be here for it." And we hear that right before the plane crash, he shouted out Stacy, right? And then Paul explains to Michelle Pfeiffer that, "I wish I knew what was in the thoughts of my wife right before she passed. You got to know that you were the last thought he had before he died." And it's beautiful. And we also see the process of permitting in Montana to turn part of the land into a funeral. And they're like, "We all loved Paul. Here is the expedited permit that you can immediately put him in within 30 days. Here's the other thing. Anyone's allowed to challenge, they won't. It's just the law for 90 days." And the lawyer's like, "Wow, in New York, this would have took 3 attorneys in 2 years." Talk about that, abundance, people. And then Abigail and the date. Yeah, so Mike Ross, Paige, Paul, and Abigail finally go on a date, river rafting? No, boat, God, what is it called? Something boat. God, what they call it is interesting. They go on the date, and he's like, "Listen, I know what New York girls like." He brings some wine, he brings craft beer, and they have a good time. It's just about, like, understanding, and it was, what's the fuck happened thing? And they it's called River Float. There we go. Wow, finally. And Abigail explains, like, what dating is like art galleries and going to Soho House and a bunch of other shit. And what's it called? She explains that she got married at 20 because she was already pregnant with Bridget, and she used the marriage as a cover because getting 20 in New York is, considered, shame, while getting 20 getting pregnant at 20 in Montana is just a part of life. And, oh, then everyone has hot sex on the forest. Oh, the older daughter meets a nice Native American lady that is their neighbor and learns how to ride horses. The younger daughter learns how to track animals to go hunting. By the way, they've only now lived in Montana for 2 days. No, 5 days. The next episode is the funeral, and, they all because of how far the land is, they have to do it the old-fashioned way, and they like the Irishmen, they shovel themselves, they put them in the horses for the hearse, and they do this, and it's really up it's a beautiful whole process, and then guess what? We go back to New York, which is something I was not expecting in the show that to go back, and I wanna know when the fuck was Taylor Sheridan here filming this show? Because this is not on a green screen or a soundstage. This is shot in New York City because Taylor Sheridan does not believe in green screens or blue screens or any of that. This was really shot in New York. And I don't know a single person who worked on this fucking Taylor Sheridan show. And I really want to be in a Taylor Sheridan show now. Like I want to be in Landman season 3, okay? Because you're gonna have to deal with the Venezuela and Iran situation. And we all love Rebecca. But we're back in New York. And everyone, they they're not used to the adjustment, they got used to all the space, and we meet, what the fuck is his name? God. Fucking the smart Will Arnett plays a bootleg version of the therapist that Harrison Ford plays in Shrinking, and he really hates Michelle Pfeiffer, so he offers Michelle Pfeiffer's character whiskey during their session to try to talk to her like they're friends instead of a client. And he's like, "It will help her tell to live once more." And she's like, "You're never gonna feel whole again." And Michelle Pfeiffer's like, "What are we gonna do, druff balls?" And he's like, "Look, this is grieving." And after a few sips, she's kinda in. And I'm like, "Okay, it's Tara Sheridan is therapy." And I know, like, Sheridan really has, like, contempt for New York, if, like, we learned anything from, like, the first, like, 3 episodes. But the whole thing is about cherishing your time with your loved ones, and how do you honor them in death? How do you move on? What is right? But we're seeing, the family act out in, like, very New York style. God, I really understand what the Tara hates New York, and it's funny. Um, and they're, like, trying to go back to normal, and, Stacy's like, they go to a coffee shop, and she's like, "I want milk straight from the udder," and the coffee shop's like, "I don't know what that means. You want 2%, a half and half, all the other shit." So then she goes back to therapy, and she's more angrier than the last time, and it's like they're fighting her, and the therapist just absolutely hates her, and I'm like, "Okay, that's what we're doing." Oh, and then in the last episode, the younger daughter is just unconsolable because of the grief, and Mike Ross and the mom go to a Soho dive bar called No Name, and I'm like, this that I know what bar they were shooting at. I'm like, "That bar is not in Soho. That bar is in the Lower East Side because I know what that bar was. And look, it's about how you have to move on, and then she just ends up back in Montana at the end of the episode because she can't handle New York. Oh, and the younger daughter, like, punches out somebody because now she has rage issues. And, oh, the NYPD also answers to Montana PD because she calls Abigail calls, Paul, and Paul talks to NYPD, and he's like, "Listen, this is what's happening. They're nice people, I understand. And New York has catch and release laws or something. Please let them go as long as they apologize." Some other shit. I'm like, "Okay." I just gotta say, I absolutely love this show, which is not a show, but it is a movie pretending to be a show. And I can't wait for the next 6 episodes next year. I think this show is genius. I think listen, if I'm David Ellison of Paramount, Taylor Sheridan's contract ends in 2028, right? We don't know when in 2028, but it does end in 2028, which means I am renewing every episode of Landman. And I understand Landman season 4, right? Because right now Season 3 begins production a couple months after Taylor Wallace has her child, right? And that season 4 is going to be an, pivot it's going to be a HBO 9 p.m. show instead of a Paramount Plus show, but Sheridan won't have to answer to Casey Bloyd's. Tara Sheridan's going to be able to do whatever the fuck he wants. It's just, Landman is just going to air on HBO for season 4, and I presumably assume season 5 because the contracts are basically locked in for I assume Landman will get 6 seasons. I assume the Madison will hit 4, maybe. I guess if you have to do this back-to-back filming thing, right, with this. This show is fucking beautiful, and I just want Sheridan to make movies again, and I know Sheridan's doing the Call of Duty movie, the one based off the Modern Warfare 2 story and everything, but Sheridan, my man, I love this show. Can I be in one of your shows? Please. Please. I have a SAG card. I'm an okay actor. I really do wanna be in one of these fucking shows.